Malthouse Theatre in Melbourne. I first heard their run forward story recently from Sarah Neal, their co-CEO, and from Davey Simmons, their head of marketing and communications. Now, like everyone here, they spent most of 2020 locked down and hoping for an end to the pandemic. And by the winter of that year, the Malthouse team was valiantly planning a return to their regular subscription season for the start of 2021. Shows were being programmed. The brochure was being designed. And yet, as Davey said to me, we all desperately wanted this to work. But I think we knew in our hearts it probably wouldn't. One evening in August of 2020, Sarah and her co-CEO, Matthew Lutton, got on a Zoom call. And together they contemplated their current plan for 21, a return to 10 shows across their 2 stages for 3 or 4 weeks apiece. And then they contemplated the reality that would be facing them upon reopening. Capacity restrictions, social distancing, mandatory masking, the potential for more lockdowns. The challenge seemed insurmountable. For months, they had sketched out myriad ways to make it all work. And for months, they had returned to the same intractable equation. Great theater minus COVID restrictions equaled nothing good. They stayed on the call, and the night wore on. They asked themselves a new question. What if they were going about this the wrong way around? What if instead of seeing COVID restrictions as obstacles, they saw them simply as, parameters? What if they changed this equation and started with the COVID restrictions? If COVID restrictions plus something equals great theater, what was the something? Restriction, capacity limits were financially devastating, especially for a small theater. Solution? Gut the whole theater. Make the Malthouse building itself their arena. Restriction? A snap lockdown could clobber a 3 or 4 week run. Solution? Have a single long-running production that could withstand lockdowns. Restriction? Mandatory masks for the whole audience. Solution? Costume the whole audience. Make the masks just part of the costume. Could this be something? They kept going. They imagined transforming their space into a labyrinth of rooms for the audience to explore. They imagined filling that space with a new immersive kind of theater never before seen in Australia. They imagined creating an experience that wouldn't wilt under COVID restrictions, it would welcome them. It was well after midnight when they ended the Zoom call. In the days that followed, Sarah and Matthew returned to reality. How could they possibly do this massive transformation of their building? How could they possibly take such a huge risk at a moment when Melbourne was still in a lockdown? And yet, people will follow an increased and not business as usual vision for the future. Run forward. The way will spring open to you. And so they started quietly talking about their ludicrous idea to some of their senior leadership and to their board. And how did all of them feel about it? Well, as Sarah would later write on her blog, my best memory from this show was at the very beginning. It was when everyone said yes to this idea. We knew it would be hard, we knew it would be risky, and we did it anyway. The Malthouse team chose to change the equation. They chose to run forward. Davey said that as soon as this was announced, the energy on the team completely changed and just shot off the charts. They were so compelled by this ludicrous idea and the ability to do something really new. A new kind of immersive script emerged, inspired by Hamlet, but also by Twin Peaks and Stranger Things. The Malthouse production staff tore everything out of the building. And in its place, they built a creepy 32-room mansion, complete with plaster and electricity and plumbing. There would be 2 casts of 6 people each, 2 shows a night, max capacity of 60, and it was built to run for up to 6 months. And every audience member upon entry would be given a cape and a mask. Now, the team was really on edge as opening night approached, not helped at all by the fact that there had been another lockdown in the final weeks of rehearsal. And yet, just as the poet and the professor had predicted, when they ran forward, the way sprang open to them. Their show, Because the Night, opened on March 26, 2021, and it was an instant runaway hit. In 2021, a year that Melbourne would become the most locked down city on the planet, Because the Night was a reprieve for this weary city, and along the way became the most successful show in the Malthouse Theatre's 46-year history, virtually selling out every single performance, exceeding even their most ambitious revenue targets, and withstanding 2 lockdowns before it finally succumbed to a third. Later on, Sarah would write this on her blog: "Theater is dead. Long live theater." And I think that's where the lesson comes from. When the odds are against you, but you believe so much in what you're doing, think about changing the equation and having the courage to run forward with faith that the way will spring open to you.